Welcome to the Business Spotlight Series. My name is Scott Lawson, certified business coach with Action Coach of Coastal Bend, and I'll be your host today. I'm very excited to have our special guest, Rene Soliz, on our show. Rene is the founder and CEO of Freedom Wealth. Today, we're going to talk to Rene about his business, his journey to business ownership, some challenges, some successes. We'll have him share what it's really like to own and operate a business as an entrepreneur. If this is your first time on the channel, be sure to like and subscribe so you get notifications when we publish new content. Well, Rene, welcome to the show.
Hey, Scott. Thanks for having me.
Oh, well, it's our pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on. We would like for our audience to have an opportunity to kind of get to know you first. So I might start before I talk about your business, just to ask about you and your journey. Tell us about Rene.
Yeah, well, like you, was born in Corpus Christi, so from the Coastal Bend, but been here in San Antonio, Texas for a little over 20 years now. When I started out, I was just always very entrepreneurial. I always wanted to open my own business, be a business owner. I in fact had a business in the third grade. I would buy and sell pencils from the library machine. The
Oh
third
my.
grade. So even my mom thought I was pushing drugs or something, because she's like, where are you getting all this money from? And I pulled out this big wad of pencils that had a big rubber band around it. And that was my business, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade. So
Selling pencils to classmates.
selling pencils to classmates. Yep. They were NFL, they were sparkle, there
Oh.
were stripes and polka dots and all different kinds. And then I left elementary school, went to middle school, and there went the pencil machine in the library, and there also went my first business. So hadn't lost the business by sixth grade. But
That's great.
then so I in trying to be a business owner, I tried to think about, what was something that was always going to be in demand that I could help people with. And so naturally I said, well, hey, everybody's always going to need a doctor. So, middle school, high school, even college, I was pre-med. I was going to become a doctor, open up my own practice, double majored in biology and small business management in college. And I should have known. I was always way more interested in my business classes than I was my bio classes. But I was like, everything's a stepping stone. So once I get to disease pathways, it'll be way better. It was not way better. I went a year in med school, and I decided medicine wasn't for me. And so since then, that's kind of how I ventured into becoming an advisor, a wealth advisor. And I'm married. I have a wife. I have three awesome kids. They are the most conniving kids ever, but I'm glad my house has not been destroyed yet. They're 8, 6, and 3. But we're all doing good. And me myself, outdoorsman, and I love giving back where I can and educating where I can.
So I'm real curious about that 8-year-old. He's not selling pencils with classmates yet, is he?
No, they're into Pokemon cards, and so really my 6-year-old is more the business person. He's already
Oh.
talking about, hey, I'll sell you this card for this much, and next week I'll have 2 more cards, and so he might be taking over the family business here sooner or later.
I see. So I'm curious about after you left college, then what was your career path after that?
So after college, I went med school. When I left medicine, my wife is a physical therapist. And, at the time we had just gotten married. I graduated college completely debt free. She had quite a bit of debt from her thing. And so when I left med school, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. I went into mortgage for a little bit. And then while I was in mortgage, I started looking at more of the financial stuff, more financial planning, more of investments, things of that nature. And so, that's when I made the decision to go ahead and make a switch. And it was funny too, because I had seen with my previous broker dealer, I had seen an investment or an Indeed post on to become a financial advisor. I never thought about becoming a financial advisor before then. But I'm been really good with money. I started investing when I was 15. Me and my wife, we paid off $115,000 of student loan debt in 2 years. paid for cars in cash, house in cash. And so, people have always told me that I can relate things to them a lot easier than, I don't use jargon or anything like that. So I was like, hey, I'll try it. I knew it was going to be a tough road to get started and to try and build a business, out of nothing. And luckily my wife supported me, kind of all through the way. And so initially I went into mortgage, and we got to find something to make sure we can keep on going. And after that, that's where I truly found, hey, this is what I want to do, and this is where I want to go with it.
And it started with an Indeed post.
Yeah, start with an
Wow.
Indeed posting of all things, right?
Uh-huh.
I went through a very rigorous interview process at my previous broker dealer,
I
but
see. Great.
now I'm
Great.
here.
Great. So let's talk about Freedom Wealth.
Okay.
What is Freedom Wealth, and what were your ambitions or goals in starting it? Or did you
Yeah,
start
I did start it. So I am the founder and CEO of Freedom Wealth. We are a firm that helps people in a lot of different areas: retirement, education, estate planning, tax strategies, and really risk management. People don't realize what they leave themselves open to. You work all your life in trying to build who you are and what you have, and your family and things of that nature, and you have no idea the things that are so simple that you don't think of that can lead to such big consequences, and everything else like that. But in mortgage, I was at USA for a while, and I saw what veterans kind of go through with them and their families. And I have a lot of people in my family. I have six Marines, one Army Reserve, and so I have a real heart for helping veterans.
okay?
That's kind of who we look at. We help veterans, we help small business
Hmm.
owners, we help executives and families. Kind of. I always tell people, think of me as trying to find you the yellow brick road, right? Through all the thicket and the monkeys and the witches and everything else like that. I can give you the path of what you need, of what you need to do, how you need to do it, where you need to go, type thing.
Oh, that's great. I always thought that yellow brick road looked a lot like a gold brick road, so maybe
Hey,
that's
could be
appropriate.
gold too, or give me enough time, we'll make it gold.
Well, what were some of your biggest challenges, Renee, as you think about the journey you were on to get this business going? Um, what challenges came up, and did you learn
Oh,
from them?
all kinds of things. First thing I learned was, don't be afraid to go after what you're passionate about. Initially I was doing medicine strictly for the logistical and logical thinking of it, but my heart wasn't there. And so if you're gonna do something that you're not 100% for, you're gonna be unhappy, and the people that you help might be unhappy too. And so, don't be afraid to take that leap. And it
Hmm.
was a leap.
Hmm.
The in getting to where I am, there have been a lot of leaps of faith that I have had to jump. And you just, all you can do is, the best way I can describe it is, it's Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I don't know if you've seen that movie or not.
Hmm.
But you got to dodge so you don't lose your head, and you got to watch how you step sometimes. And when you get to the very end, there's a big chasm and you can't see a way across. You just have to close your eyes and step forward.
Hmm.
And so I would encourage a lot of people to, if you have a dream of something, it's for a reason, and you need to find a way to achieve your dream. It's going to be
Hmm.
hard. It's going to be one of the hardest things you've ever done in your life, but it'll be rewarding, if
Hmm.
you can stick with it and get where you're going. So that right there has been one of the biggest things in my journey here. Along that, it's really realizing, how can I be most impactful with what I have? I only have 24 hours in the day.
Hmm.
I sleep a third of that. A third of that, I still, of the week, I still want to be with my family, with my kids. I'm a CYO coach for my son basketball, and they do all kinds of sports and things like that. And time is so precious. You only have time now, and you don't have time later. So you got to spend
Hmm.
it where you can spend it. So, just trying to know where my time is going to be most impactful, where I can have the biggest impact in the lives of people that I talk to and things of that nature in my own life. And then aside from that, it's hiring the right people. I've hired a
Mm.
few people that have been a headache. And so, learning what am I looking for? I'm not just, hey, my name is Jimmy and I'll take what you give me. And if you got a pulse, come work for me. It's really,
Mhm.
can you align with the values and the vision that we have of where we're going?
Mhm. That's great. You remind me of a couple of things that we kind of share with people regarding some of these topics. We actually do teach quite a few people at a seminar on time management. But sometimes the first thing we point out in that seminar is really you're here about time management, and the first thing we want to tell you is there's no such thing. Time's going to go on. You can't manage it. It's going to there's
Yeah.
this day is going to end in 24 hours, and we can't stop it, you know. But what we can manage is our use of that time, and we can kind of move forward with that. And your other comment, even about hiring the right people, that is such a big concern for a lot of business owners. It is a big step to go through the process of onboarding someone. And when that is not the right someone, or you don't have them in the right seat in the bus, it can be a big headache in a lot of ways. The time that's lost,
Yeah.
the cost of training that might be lost, and a lot of other areas. If you can just make sure you get the right people in the right seats to start with, it can be a big benefit. Sometimes you don't even recognize what a benefit it was, because until you see things go wrong, you don't recognize how big a deal that is. So that's great. Other
Yep.
challenges, other things that business owners might learn from your experience.
You know, when I left my previous broker dealer, and I talked about the chasm, right? Indiana Jones. The biggest one of the biggest hurdles or the biggest transition, and this will be anything that a business owner will face, any business. You go from, hey, I'm going to make this decision, and hey, it's going to be, some people it could be a part-time to a full-time decision. But you got first things first, you can't start if you don't start. So first things first, you got to start. But for me, transition was very, very difficult. When I left my previous broker dealer, I had a lot of system changes, a lot of process changes that I knew all the processes in my head, but to actually take that and put that into a systemized process, right? Into
Mm-hmm.
standard operating procedures.
Mm-hmm.
This is how we do things, and this is why we do things. So, trying to also increase the clients that I serve, and dealing with trying to figure out what my technology was going to look like. What getting everything out of my head and onto paper was one of the hardest things. And then marketing, if you're not out boots on the ground in front of people, or if you're not advertising in any way, nobody knows you. You're invisible. And so for a lot of businesses, and for me included, starting marketing from scratch was a hurdle. It's still a hurdle. Um, it's still a challenge to try and keep the brand and keep everything going, and
Mm-hmm.
looking at things like that. Um, and what I find too is, in my particular line of business, there's working in the business and there's working on the business. And as a leader, I need to make sure that I'm also spending time working on the business, not just in the business. Because I could work that hamster wheel, round and round and round and round, but if there's no direction, you're just spinning your wheels.
Right.
And so, I think those, from any kind of business standpoint, finding business and then branding yourself and then working on the business, not as well as in the business, would probably be, three biggest challenges that any I myself face and any business would face.
Great. I love that advice. Yeah, we really use that phrase a lot. Work on the business instead of in the business. And with different businesses, that there's a different degree of that. You know, there's certain circumstances where the business owner may have to work in the business and to some degree, but the more you can work on the business, the more you're forward thinking, and the more you're building for the future. The more you're working in the business, the more you're just the hamster wheel, I think, is a good example of that. There's
Yep.
just so much. So many times we work with business owners and we recognize, a lot of the tasks that you're doing during the day, you'd be much better off to delegate so that you can be using that time to work on the business to build it. So yeah, that's great.
Yep.
Great advice. Now, when I think about Freedom Wealth, what differentiates Freedom Wealth from your competition, from others? What do you think is your differentiator?
So, when people come to Freedom Wealth, they think that we do a lot of what other people do. A lot of other advisory firms will start and say, "Hey, here's our investment strategy. Here's what we're looking at." And I can't talk about investments until I know the entire picture. And so, we really focus on comprehensive wealth planning. I talked about risk management and kind of chinking your financial armor, protecting you from all that may come, and then using investments as logistics to try and get us to where we're going, right? It's the vehicle, it's not the end all be all. And so just kind of starting from that outlook of, hey, I want to protect you first before I help you get to where you're going. And just as the relationships we have with our clients. I want to make sure that we're in good communication all the time with what's going on with them. I want to know what's going on in their lives, because the most important thing to some people is not money. Sometimes it's family, sometimes it's their job, sometimes it's just, hey, I have a few widows that are my clients. Their husbands passed away, and they just call me to talk. They call me because they don't have anybody else currently, and they have some issues with family, and so I enjoy being there and just being there for them. And so I think that, really sets me apart from a lot of other advisors. The other thing too is I preach what I do. Some advisors will say, hey, you need to do this, this, and this. And you look at their life, and their life is completely turned upside down. They aren't even following their own principles. So
Mhm,
everything that I tell you to do, I've already done or am doing within my life. So
mhm,
I try and lead by example, because I know what you go through, and I know how to get over stuff, in some certain areas.
mhm. That's great. Um, I I'm curious about the future. What are your aspirations for, say, down the road 5 years for Freedom Wealth?
Right now, we're growing. We're growing substantially. We're growing in the number of clients we have. We're adding team members. I got 2 to 3 team members that are probably going to be adding on here in the summer. In 5 years, I'm looking at a fully functional, self-sufficient firm. I want 15 to 20 advisors. I want support staff to help those advisors get to where they need to go. And I want us to be multi-million-dollar firm.
Great. When you think about success, who do you think of and why?
I think so. I would have to say Erin Bosford. She was a advisor that has retired, a few years ago. She was the on the Barron's top 100 list, which she was up there as far as who she was talking to, who she was advising, what her company looked like. I had an opportunity to kind of take a little bit of a deep dive with her couple years ago, and just kind of see what her business was like. She had a team of 18. She was a well-oiled machine. She was on top of everything, and you're talking multi-million-dollar firm. She was a multi-million-dollar firm.
Hmm.
She after retiring, she's opened another business that deals primarily with advisors on the other side. So advisors being the clients and things of that nature. So that's something that I want to strive for, something I want to emulate within my own business. Take a few of her principles and put them to work.
I love it. That's great. When you think about Freedom Wealth, what excites you about the future?
Well, I'm very, very outgoing. I love talking to people, and so really, it's going to be the people that I meet. It's the way that I can find the puzzle piece of that jigsaw puzzle to put it all together to change someone's life. The I went into medicine trying to help people, but medicine wasn't for me. But this is a way that I can truly help people. I don't want there was a lot of stress that I had and my wife had when we were first getting started, with student loans and, with car payments and things of that nature. And you don't know the stress that's lifted off of your shoulders, whenever, you get yourself in the right position. And so that's kind of something I want to provide to everybody. I get a kick out of, if I can figure it out and I can get you there, then hey, like, if I change one person's life for that, I've done what I need to do, but
Mhm.
it's not just one. I'm ambitious. I want to see how many people I can possibly change. And so,
It-
that kind of excites me, on the client side. On the employee side, the way that the financial system is set up, there are a lot of employees that don't have a lot of control over who they talk to or how they talk to, or what they do. And so,
as
at
far as
Freedom,
clients or as far as
uh,
employers? Uh,
as far as running the business the way that they want to run it, right?
Oh,
Uh,
oh.
Sometimes clients are pre-scripted as, hey, you're only looking for this type of person.
Mm.
Sometimes it is, hey, you only can do these types of things. And so I kind of want to break those chains too. And I want to provide, the people that come to my team, I want them to have more freedom over what they want to do. If they want to go this route, hey, we have a way to help you kind of get there. If
I
you
see.
want to do business this way, hey, we can facilitate it to kind of help it, that way also.
Mhm.
So, with Freedom Wealth, in the name, there's a lot of things kind of built into that, of what I want to provide to those that, that I can help, the clients
Mhm.
or employees.
Both freedom and wealth, and sometimes there's an overlap there. Yeah. In
Oh,
fact,
the
when you were describing your journey from pre-med to financial planning and helping people that way, I was just picturing in my mind, yeah, as a medical doctor, you could have helped people physically, but this way you can help people financially and in their planning for their future. You found a way that even that can help people physically. When you were talking about the stress that you can eliminate if you can help them feel comfortable about their financial situation.
yeah, and emotionally too,
Oh, right. Good point.
maybe
Yeah.
a little bit of spiritual in there. I'm not gonna take
Mhm.
any credit, but
Yeah,
spiritually
exactly.
also.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a If you look at the Venn diagram of all the different characteristics that impact us, that financial side overlaps a lot of others. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
If you could do it all over again, what would you do differently?
I wouldn't be as afraid as I was. I would have started this a lot sooner than I
Mm.
did. And, if I would have just listened to myself, that's the other thing too, is just listen to myself. Because I had all the signs and I knew deep down that I should go a different way, and I talked myself out of it. And so, I would have started this business a long, long time ago. And even, probably in high school, I could have started doing some kind of debt management or, things of that nature. And then not only that, but I would have structured the business a little bit differently. So with compliance, there's ways that you can structure the business, as a financial firm. I would have structured it a little bit differently to start,
Hmm.
and starting to build the business that way. That way, I would not have had to make the switch that I had to structurally.
Hmm.
And so more time in this business and building it the right way, as opposed to piecemealing it and kind of working along the way. Hindsight is 2020.
Hmm.
There's a lot of things that happened along the way that I'm here today because of the way that they happened. And I'm a firm believer things happen for a reason. And so it was my time to do this. And but if I could have, I would have, I would have, I'd be already a multi-million dollar firm.
Hmm. Right.
Had we all started way back when.
Yeah. What's the best way for our audience members to learn more about you and your business?
Well, they can always give us a call, talk to us directly. Our phone number is 210-376-1746. They can go to our website, which is freedomwealthllc.com. They can go to our Facebook page. It's Freedom Wealth SA is our Facebook page. On there, we have all types of events all throughout the year. I do a Boots to Business class where I talk with veterans coming out of the military, looking to start businesses. I do Business 101 classes. I do, financial planning, so estate planning, Social Security, Medicare. I have all kinds of seminars throughout the year. On our Facebook page, you'd be able to see, what we have. Maybe you'd be able to attend and just, come check us out.
Great. Rene, thank you for sharing your story. This has been very interesting, and I hope the audience finds it informative and valuable. This is the Business Spotlight Series with Scott Lawson from Action Coach of Coastal Bend and Rene Soliz of Freedom Wealth. Please be sure to like and subscribe so you can continue to see great content. Thank you for watching or listening today. Bye for now.